Thank you, and thank you for the invitation. It's always a pleasure to visit Stockholm. I wish it was slightly warmer. It was a bit of a shock when I landed from Brussels. We haven't had snow yet this year, so. Just a few words about the Federation of European Publishers. We are 28 national, or in the case of Belgium, regional, because Belgium has two publisher associations, one from the French-speaking and the Flemish, and one for the Flemish. But otherwise, we have 27 members, 27 countries, and they represent the largest number of publishers in Europe. The European publishing sector is the largest culture industry in Europe, with an estimated market, retail market of 40 billion euro, and a publication of 500,000 new titles each year. That's quite a lot. Publishing has been resisting slightly better than the other culture industry to the transition to these brave new words that we are going to speak about. Nevertheless, we see in all of the EU member states a slight decline, and in some, unfortunately, a bigger one, which is, of course, due to the economic crisis, but also to those countries who have a bigger e-book market. It's due to the fact that e-books have to be priced at a lower prices than a physical book. The consumer is not going to buy e-books if they are priced at the exact same prices in general. And it's also due to a decrease in readership. There was a study made at the EU level last year, and 68% of the population in Europe said that they've read at least one book in the last year, which is a loss of 3% over the last 5 years the previous study was made. Your country is actually the best student in the European class, with 90% of the Swedish respondents who say they've read at least one book a year, and 74 who say they visited a public library. Just to give you the opposite, 37% of the population of Cyprus say they visited a public library, and about 50% say they read at least one book. Among that, good news is that the readers who read more than 5 books have stayed stable. It's those who read less than 5 books who have slightly decreased. So let's hope that we can, I have to look at the figures in a more granular way to see whether the children or the young generation are reading more than 5 or not. Yes. So a few words about the penetration of e-books in Europe. Well, the markets are very different. There are countries where e-books are quasi-non-existent. I'm thinking a large number of the Eastern European countries that have joined the EU. In France, the market is 3%. So e-book market is 3% of the total market, and it represents 50% of some genres in fiction. In Spain, surprisingly to me at least, it's 5 to 7% of the overall market, but some bestsellers have 10 to 15%, and that is without taking into account the huge piracy that Spain is experiencing since a number of years. UK is by far the largest market, with 11% in terms of value, but 24% in terms of volumes, which shows that discrepancy in terms of prices. We are often asked in the European Union circles, how do we think the markets and the numbers is going to evolve? And I must say, I have no idea. I can say they were going to grow, but to which extent, I don't think we know. What we have been observing is that in the countries where, like in the United Kingdom, where the growth has been more important than in others, it is slowing down. But whether it's a period and then it's going to grow again exponentially, we don't know. And also, we can say that the sales of e-books are replacing the sales of print books. So we are not expanding the market, but we are rather, it's just a substitutable publication. The US, I mean, always taken as an example, although I'm not sure that in terms of literacy and books, that's the best example the European Union should look after. The e-book has grown 45% since 2011 and represent 20% of the trade market. And in the US, the growth is really seriously slowing down. But why is the US a much bigger market for e-books? Well, obviously it has a much larger offer than in other countries, so it's more attractive to consumer. But we also see a very predatory pricing policy, which has attracted a lot of people. And while the e-book market grows a lot, we don't know whether this is viable on a long term to offer books that cost less than a cup of coffee. And last but not least, in the United States, there are fewer and fewer bookshops and also libraries. And if you look at the situation in the United Kingdom, you can see that it's relatively the same. They are cutting down libraries and they are closing bookshops, and there are less bookshops in the whole of the United Kingdom than in the sole city of Paris. So you can drive or you can walk a few kilometers in London or in the United States before you see your first bookshop, which means that you are going to rely more on the internet. Reading the statistics of the American Publisher Association, it's interesting that the Americans are experimenting a growth of almost $900 million in online sales outside of the United States. And that growth is especially noticeable in online retail in Italy, France, Spain, Germany, UK, and Norway. Norway, I don't know, but the rest is obviously markets where Amazon has largely invested the online retail. So if we are to have more books, yes, of course, and instead of saying if, I should have said if we want to have more e-books, but also healthy e-book sector with creator making a livelihood of writing books, publishers being able to have a sustainable business, booksellers being able to continue selling books, and we know that for a long time they will be selling print and e-books together. What we need is to avoid a situation where we have dominant players. We all know that two dominant players are not healthy for markets, and certainly not for the e-book market, for the book market in general, actually, as books are not just products, but books are also works of the mind, and they are vehicles to the freedom of expression. So we are calling for a fair competition from all players, and for that we all have to follow rules on this big internet world, and those rules are also fiscal. Therefore, this entails first interoperability. Very clearly, if you don't have an interoperable word between content, platform, and devices, you are creating even a more dominant position on the internet. So we think, together with the authors and the booksellers, that interoperability is absolutely key to a level playing field. We are all supporting the digital standard that has been internationally, there's an international consensus that's EPUB 3, which has been put together by a consortium called the International Digital Publishing Forum, in which technology companies, booksellers, publishers, a number of organizations are being members of. And we have a standard that is potentially usable by all, but the market actually is not using it that much, because the largest retailer, and I'm gonna name the elephant in the room, Amazon, is using a proprietary format. And when you think that in the United Kingdom there are more than 70% of the e-book market, it doesn't leave a lot of room for the others. So at EU level, we are discussing with the European institution and to see whether they can do anything. We made pledges in an exercise that's called Licensing for Europe, which is too long to explain here, but you can look on the internet. And one of the pledges we made as a book trade was to increase interoperability between format, platform, and devices. We are discussing with the European Commission whether there can be a recognition of EPUB 3 as a EU, before it becomes an international ISO standard, especially for public procurement. You know that EU is governing some of the EU procurement, and we should, it would be good if school, when they buy school books through public procurement, buy school books that are interoperable and that can be played on a number of devices. We are also looking at an industry-led initiative to agree on a common standard. You know that a few years ago, all of the mobile phone manufacturers sat together, except one, again, the dominant player, or one of the dominant player, and agreed that all of the chargers would be the same, so that when you change a mobile phone, you don't have to rebuy chargers, or when you lose the chargers, leave it in a hotel room. So we are doing that. We are working on that. Well, fair competition, I mentioned it. When you have dominant players, what can you do? You can be rather powerful, like the German book trade, and propose an alternative. They have done so. It's called Tolino. They have developed it with the Deutsche Telekom, and now Tolino has overtook Amazon on the German market in terms of sales of ebooks. Or they have also developed Scooby. Scooby is a Spotify for books, so you pay a monthly subscription, and then you can read as much as you want. And they're testing the methods, but those alternatives are only possible if there's an equal fiscal treatment, and there's many discussion now at the EU level to try to make all multinationals to pay their taxes in Europe, where they sell their services, so that it's good for the European budgets, but also it's a fair fiscal treatment with the local retailers who have to pay their taxes. Interoperability, I spoke about it, and then also we think that the books should be, and their retailers should be better discovered on the internet, and there should be an equal chance for all of the offers. One of the reasons, among others, but it's also to avoid censorship, we were given a number of examples. We were first alerted by our Danish colleagues, but then we found out that it was happening almost everywhere, where it's another of the internet giant. In this case, it's Apple, who is refusing a number of books on very dubious reasons. Those books are sold in every good bookshops, and yet they cannot be sold on Apple. If they become dominant players, then it's a real problem, because those books cease to appear on the screen of the consumers. Well, obviously taxation, very high topic. We've been discussing it with the EU for several years. We had a success a couple of years ago thanks to the Swedish Publisher Association, who was very supportive and who started the entire exercise to lower the VAT on audiobooks. But no, audiobooks, it's certainly not the future. The future is e-books. And we need to find to have the give them possibility to member states to lower the rates. So the EU is slowly but surely going to propose something. They always tell us that something could be increasing the rates, which we don't believe because it requires the unanimity of the 28 finance ministers, and we know a few who would stick to the reduced rate. But it's a very slow process, unfortunately. We need more political support, and we'll be calling again on all the capitals. The good news is that since a couple of weeks, the German government is now decided that there should be reduced rates on e-books, and that they're going to instruct the politicians to fight for that. And Germany was not the only obstacle among the member states, but it was certainly a big one. And so having Germany, Spain, Italy, France, of course, and Poland, as very large country that have a lot of votes in the council to support that, that's a big step forward. We need to convince a few others like the Danes, but we hope we'll get there. They will, from 1st of January, people who buy books from abroad will be taxed at the rate of their country and no longer the rate of abroad. So it means that countries that have their companies that have their location in Luxembourg, which has no 3% of VAT, will no longer be able to charge those 3%, but if they're selling to Sweden, they will have to charge 25% until we hope the legislation is changed, which means that there's no more distortion. So it doesn't change anything whether you change the law, because nobody is going to move from one state to another just to benefit from the VAT. Kept the best for the end. Copyright. Well, copyright is first and foremost, as for all of the book trade, a way to make a decent livelihood, and that needs to be recalled. We are discussing it for the last 15 years at EU level. I'm sure that it's the case all over Europe and in all of the member states. There are two main topics in order to make ebooks viable for authors to write, publishers to publish, and booksellers to sell. It's first that, Capital Copyright can exercise some respect and make it possible to promote the legal offer and not the illegal one. There's some very timid discussions in Brussels on that topic. They all remember, of course, the ACTA disaster. But there's also a very interesting initiative that's called Follow the Money. And it's to go to the credit card company and say, do you think that you should be supporting illegal activities by allowing people, because illegal websites, you usually have to pay something if you want a premium service. So they are discouraging the credit card companies to offer services on the website, on illegal website, but also advertising. And they go to see the advertisers and ask them, please stop. So we think that's one of the way forward. The framework, well, obviously there's a big discussion, and now we have a consultation. We have, in theory, until next week, although there are rumors buzzing in Brussels that things may be extended. We'll definitely we'll let you know if this is the case, whether we have an extension. But there's a consultation that has over 80 questions, and the questions are well, they're questioning all of the aspects of intellectual property, from respect to territoriality, which isn't an issue for publishers, as publishers have worldwide right in general for their linguistic version. No one else is going to publish a Swedish version of a book where the original are translated. One of the most difficult topic is obviously exceptions, exception to intellectual property, and we have to remind the legislator that the works that we are publishing, and that it's when we publish, we need to have a sustainable environment. And I'm looking at Pierre, who will speak afterwards. Authors have to have a credible chance to make it with their works. If, for example, for educational works, for which some books are solely meant to be used in school or university, we were to have an exception that would deprive educational publishers from a return on their investment, that would be a catastrophe. And we certainly believe that the current regime is sustainable, that it works, and that the exceptions that are currently in EU law and in national law, plus the licensing that is done by our collective management organization, can answer all of the needs, which have been unsustained, I must say, from the users, who keep on saying they need flexibility, but we're not sure what exactly they mean with sustainability. Another topic, I don't know whether you heard that in Stockholm, is text and data mining, very big. That's it's going to cure the crisis in Europe. They want to be able to mine the content of the publication. Well, actually, if it's for scientific publication, so the so-called STM, scientific, technical, and medical, publishers are proposing licenses because they think that it's an extra service to their, I'm almost finished, to their customers, and for other types of publication, I'm thinking trade books, by example, I'm sure that we can find solution through collective management. Allow me still to say a few words about libraries. There's a lot of claim that the libraries exception should be reopened. I think that there are many issues. By example, the fact that the preservation issue should be extended to all libraries. I fail to understand why all libraries should be able to make copies for preservation. I think we have national libraries, we have patrimonial libraries to do so. There's also the fact that in Europe, on average, 4% of the turnover is made by library acquisition. 96% is made via bookshop acquisition by customers. If this is to be changed dramatically, either libraries' budget are going to increase to a level that's going to be able to compensate the loss made by the sales through booksellers. And I don't know here, but I know that in many countries, including my own Belgium, this is absolutely impossible. So all over Europe, publishers are developing solutions, including friction, so that, yes, libraries should be able to lend books. I think we all agree that it should be the case, but they shouldn't be lending them without friction. So I'm sure that some more will be said afterwards. So I'm just, I won't repeat because I've taken too long, but I just want to say that it's important that whenever considering legislation about books that will determine the future, we do it together, because books are not just like cans of beans. I mean, they are not just products. They are vehicles of education, culture, and freedom of expression, and that needs to be retained. Thank you very much.